All right, let's see. Okay. Well, hopefully that's working. I don't know. All right, so we are going to continue with our tactics. And so last time we talked about pins and skewers,
Okay.
right? And there are two kinds of pins. There's the absolute pin and the relative pin. Do you remember these?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so with the queen here pinning the bishop to the king, which one is that? Do you remember?
That is,
You can actually cheat and read the subtext.
that's the absolute pin.
Excellent. That's the absolute pin.
Or the
Right.
ultimate pin, as I like to call
The ultimate, yeah, you called it the ultimate pin. That is the ultimate pin. Yeah, so the bishop, right, the bishop absolutely can't move, right? It's illegal for him to try to move, so we would call it the absolute ultimate pin. And then the bishop here on g4 also pins the knight to the queen. This is a relative pin, right? Because the knight's allowed to move. It's just a really bad idea because then the bishop takes the queen.
Sure.
Right? Okay, so we're good on pins. And skewers, here's an example. So we have the rook on h8 skewering the king to the rook. So it's very similar to a pin in that you still have three pieces lined up. But here you have the piece in the middle as the more valuable piece. So some people call it an X-ray attack because you can see through the more valuable piece to the piece behind it.
So this, with the skewer, the most valuable piece would always be in the middle of the skewer? Okay.
Yeah, and then of course it's, you know, you can actually skewer like two knights, say. So you could have the pieces of the same value.
Okay.
But if the piece is less valuable, so let's take a look at the bishop. The piece in the middle here, the pawn, is less valuable than the king. So this is a pin.
Okay.
Right, but here the rook skewers the king to the rook. And in pins, very often you don't want to capture the pinned piece necessarily, right? And so what we're going to do today is look at a game where the player, actually Paul Morphy, takes advantage of these pins by sort of exploiting them because they can't move or capture anything. But a skewer very often is going to be a way to get material because it's check, the king has to move, and then rook takes rook, right?
Okay.
Okay, so we had gone down to this puzzle, but we didn't do the whole thing. We're going to do the whole thing today, but let's start with just this position here, black to move. So first, I want you to try to identify which two valuable white pieces are in the same straight line.
We have the king and the queen.
Exactly, the king and the queen, very good. And since they're on a diagonal, you automatically know which black piece you're going to be using to create your skewer.
I'm going to be using the bishop.
Right, so where would you go?
The bishop, I'd go to D1.
Right, good. Yes, so bishop D1, and this is a skewer, bye-bye queenie, the king is in check, he has to move, and your following move, of course, is bishop takes queen. So we're gonna do this puzzle. This is one of my favorite puzzles, which will lead to that position we just looked at. And here it's black's turn. So right now, you'll notice the king and the queen are not in any sort of straight line together. So your job is to figure out where to put the rook to force the queen to get into the same straight line as the king.
I would go to H1.
Awesome. Whoa, Chris. Yeah, rook H1. And I'm going to actually take this off. We don't need all the variations. Okay, so rook H1. So now the queen looks like she has so many different options to get out of danger here. But actually everywhere she goes is trapped. So I love this puzzle. So rook H1, and now if the queen captures on H1, what do you notice about the position of the king and the queen?
They're on the same diagonal.
Exactly. So what can you play?
We can do the bishop to let's see here, the bishop to C6.
Exactly, very good. And here you have the bishop skewering the king to the queen. It's check. right? So the king has to move out of danger, and then bishop takes queen. So she's not safe if she captures the rook. And what if she goes to any square on the first rank? What will the rook do?
The rook will capture her.
Exactly. What if she tries to escape by going to c2? What would you play?
The bishop could capture her.
Excellent, just a hanging queen, right?
Yeah.
What if instead she goes to d3? What kind of a line are the king and queen in now?
They're in a horizontal line.
Yeah, exactly. So what are you going to play?
I would do h3.
Right, starting to see the pattern, right?
Yeah.
So here we have check, the king moves, and rook takes queen again. Skewer. Good. What if she tries, she can't go to c2, she can't go to d3. What if she goes to e4? What would you play?
I would do e1.
You'd play rook e1?
Yeah.
Okay, and what are you doing with the rook on e1?
I was thinking, oh wait, never mind. Well, then I guess the queen could capture me.
Yeah, the rook would be hanging. So what kind of a line are the king and queen in?
They're in a diagonal.
So which piece are you going to use?
Okay, yeah, I would use the bishop. I'd
Exactly.
go do the bishop to c6.
Perfect. And what have you created here?
I've created a pin.
A pin, yes. Do you remember what kind of pin?
An
An
ultimate pin?
ultimate pin.
Yes.
I knew that was coming. Yeah, an ultimate, an absolute pin, right?
Oh, an absolute. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm still calling it that. That's hilarious.
No, it's fine. So yeah, so here the bishop is guarded, right? So if queen takes, you just play what?
Then I would do the rook to f1.
You know, you actually have a better move. So your bishop here, is it hanging or protected?
Okay. It is. It's protected.
So if I were to capture it, what would you do if you had black?
Oh, okay, that's right. I'd take the pawn. I'd capture the queen.
You probably would, I think, if you were playing. Excellent. Okay, so the queen has nowhere to move on the first rank. She can't go to c2, d3, or e4 safely. What if she goes to f5?
I could still use the bishop to capture.
Could you?
Yeah.
What kind of a line are these guys in?
They are in a vertical line.
Yeah, or the same file, right? And a vertical line. Yeah, so what piece are you going to use, actually?
Oh, yeah, I'll use the rook.
Right.
Use the rook on f1.
Good. Yeah, so basically what we're doing is we're looking long distances, right? We're using our long range pieces and trying to see how we can get in line with the opposing pieces. So here you've created a skewer. The king is in check. The king moves and rook takes queen, right? Okay, good. So this king, the queen keeps trying, right? She can't go to c2, d3, e4, f5 safely. Is g6 safe?
No, because we've got the pawn there.
Right, pawn just captures queen. So two other places we could try. We could go and try to hide behind our own pawn. So here, clearly the queen and the king are not in the same straight line. We don't have an immediate pin or skewer.
Okay.
But you are going to make another forcing move with your rook to make the queen line up with the king.
Okay, and
so what do you think?
We would capture the pawn, the white pawn.
Yeah, you got that so fast. Nice job. Rook takes pawn. If the queen captures the rook, hopefully this looks familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what kind of a line are these guys in?
Oh, there we go. Yeah. So we'd use the bishop, right?
Good.
The bishop on d1.
Excellent. And what did you create?
I created a skewer.
Yes. Nice job. So if she doesn't take the rook and she comes all the way back to b1, what do you think you should do?
Drop the rook down to h1.
Oh, smart. Yes, just do it again, right? Now, all of these squares are going to lead to pins or skewers or hanging queens.
Okay.
What's the one square we haven't tried yet to save the queen?
I guess, would it be a2?
Yes, we haven't looked at this one. So it looks like she's completely safe here, hiding behind her pawns.
Uh-huh.
And the king and the queen are not in the same straight line right now. So what does black do to force the queen to get in line with the king?
Would it be, I'm thinking rook to a1, but I'm not sure if that's right.
Well, let's look at it. If you play rook to a1 and the queen captures,
Uh-huh.
did you get them in the same straight line?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so what else could we try?
Okay, we could try the bishop
Mhm.
to b3.
Yeah, let's look at that. Bishop to b3, another very forcing move because it's a threat. You're threatening the queen. Now the bishop is hanging. The queen could capture.
Oh, I
But
see.
what did you do? Yeah,
There we go. Okay.
there we go. And now?
And now we'll move the rook back up to h3.
Awesome. You got it. So you hear you've created a skewer. The king gets out of check and rook takes. And then you'll be able to win, right? You can capture these. You can promote a pawn. And or you can just win with the king and rook checkmate. But black should win, right? So I just like this. I like this puzzle because it's so funny in this position that it looks like the queen can capture or just move anywhere, but she's actually completely trapped.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm gonna,
interesting. And
yeah,
so
let me
it
stop
looks like
recording this one. Go ahead. Yeah.
so it looks like these types of moves would be more towards the end of the game when the board is cleared up a bit.
This example is an end game, but a pin and a skewer can happen at any point during the
Okay.
game. Yeah, so in a second, I'm gonna create a new recording for the game that we're gonna look at.
Okay.
So hang on just a second.